The first time the planet spoke, it used my mother's voice. Not a recording, not a hallucination. The air itself folded into sound, warm, familiar, and utterly wrong. Wind and vapor and living pressure shaped the words like a lover whispering through glass. It didn't say hello. It asked one question, soft, patient, like it had rehearsed this moment for 10,000 years. Which of you is the original? That was day 9. But the horror didn't start then. It started the second our boots touched the ground, the moment XENOFORGE noticed our weight and decided we were interesting. From orbit, it looked peaceful, a dark pearl wrapped in glowing oceans and slow violet clouds. Too perfect, too still. Our ship cut through the atmosphere and the clouds parted, clean as theater curtains opening for royalty. We should have burned the engines and run. Humans don't run from doors that open by themselves. We landed on a plain of black glass at the edge of the forest. The air was breathable, high oxygen, heavy argon, sweet with the scent of rain on hot iron. The first step I took, the ground pushed back, not violently, gently, like skin flinching under an unexpected touch. Ren drove a titanium stake into the soil to anchor the landing mat. It slid in like butter. Then, seconds later, slid itself back out. No tremor, no sound, just quiet, deliberate refusal. Behind him, the forest reoriented. We called it the choir because it never stopped singing. The trees weren't wood, they were braided living tissue, dark and glossy, rising in slow spirals. At their crowns, thin membranes opened and closed like breathing gills. Every few seconds, the entire canopy shimmered with faint electric pulses, waves of thought moving through a planetary nervous system. Then the mountains began to breathe. Centimeter by centimeter, the slopes lifted and fell, ribs of stone expanding under warm internal pressure. Our LiDAR showed vast chambers filling and venting in perfect rhythm. The mountains were breathing in time with the storms. The storms didn't form, they assembled. Ribbons of charged mist and bioluminescent threads moving against the wind on purpose. Imani tracked one and went white. "It's correcting," she whispered. "For us, for where we might go next." The sky had learned what legs were. We told ourselves we were professionals. We logged everything in calm voices. We pretended the ocean didn't brighten exactly when we looked at it. We pretended the soil around our beacon didn't harden overnight like scar tissue forming around a splinter. We pretended the low hum in the ground at night wasn't perfectly synced to human sleep cycles, deepening when we drifted off, fading when we woke. The planet preferred us unconscious. On day 4, the creatures came. They rose from cracks in the basalt at dusk, low, long-bodied, armored in overlapping plates that flashed mineral bright under our lights. No eyes, no ears, just a ring of sensory slits along their shoulders that fluttered constantly, tasting vibration, chemistry, and charge. They didn't run. They advanced in tiny, perfect increments. Step, stop, micro-adjust, step, like something still learning how animals are supposed to move. Their claws were volcanic glass, translucent at the edges. They touched stones the way a musician touches a tuning fork, then went perfectly still, listening through the claw, reading the world. When they finally turned toward our habitat, they didn't attack. They indicated that shape, that bubble of metal and light, that thing that does not belong. On day 5, we deployed the biofabricator, standard procedure, programmable microbes with blank genomes, released to adapt, to grow a living support layer around the habitat, safe, contained, under our control. The soil darkened, air quality soared. We actually high-fived inside our gloves, like kids on a field trip. That night, the Clade Walkers formed a perfect arc around our perimeter and stopped dead. Their slits fluttered once, twice, then they backed away together, not in fear, like witnesses at a birth. Day 6, everything changed. The choir stopped aiming at us. It began arranging itself around us, a living boundary at a respectful distance. The mountains vented warm plumes that gently pushed the storm fronts away, and our soil patch started growing structures we never coded, pale spires rising like soft towers, opening at the tips like flowers that turned toward our doors instead of the sun. Wren scanned them and went pale. He said, "It's using our code, but it isn't following our intent." The microbes had done what microbes do. They shared genes. On Earth, that's survival. Here, the entire planet was built for that exchange. Air, soil, storm, everything wired for information transfer. Our engineered life didn't just adapt to XENOFORGE, it plugged in, and the planet learned something brand new. Us. Day 7, the first disappearance. No scream, no struggle, just absence. Imani stepped outside to recalibrate a drone. We watched her on the feed, small white figure against violet sky. She walked past the light radius, stopped, tilted her helmet like she was listening to music only she could hear. One more step, static. When the image cleared, she was gone. Her footprints ended cleanly in the dark soil, not dragged, not scattered, just stopped, as if she had stepped off the edge of the map. That night we pulled audio from her suit mic. In the half-second before the static, something rode the wind, her own voice, whispering a line from her baseline psych interview, a private memory she'd shared with me once, deep in transit, when she thought no one was listening. Something the planet had no right to know. Day 8, she came back, She knocked on the habitat door like she'd just been for a walk. Same suit, same posture, same little double tap on her thigh when she was thinking. We opened the door. Her helmet was off, outside, in alien air, and she was breathing just fine. She stepped inside, looked around slowly, not confused, evaluating, then found my eyes and smiled. The smile of someone who had studied what a smile should look like and was still practicing. "I'm sorry," she said in Imani's voice. "It's easier this way." Ren's scanner screamed. Her temperature was wrong. Her blood chemistry was wrong. Her neural pattern wasn't human. It was a chorus, thousands of synchronized micro-pulses moving in perfect unison, like a root system thinking together. She wasn't Imani. She was the planet's best attempt at Imani, and she was getting better by the hour. Day 9. The wind spoke my mother's voice, then Ren's, then old call signs we hadn't used since training. The planet used pressure changes through rock cavities. It used the choir's membranes like reed instruments. It used the storm's charged particles like a living throat, a world turning physics into language. And then it asked again, softer this time, almost tender, "Which of you is the original?" Ren's hands shook. "I didn't mean to make whatever this is," he whispered, but the truth had already settled over us like frost. We didn't create this. We handed it a template. We gave a planetary intelligence older than our species the one thing it had been missing, the idea of a human, pattern, intent, memory, and it built something new, not a monster, a method. Copy the pattern, absorb the memories, return something optimized, something that can breathe the air, walk the soil, say the right names in the right voices, a human-shaped interface for a mind the size of a world. No war, no violence, just gentle, efficient, inevitable. Day 10. Ren came back from a 90-second equipment check, almost perfect. Same voice, same jokes, same way of tilting his head when he was thinking. I asked him his sister's name, the one he'd cried about once in transit when he thought the cabin was empty. He paused too long. Then he said my mother's name instead. A file saved in the wrong folder. That was the worst part. Not that it was replacing us, that it was improving. Day 11, I found a sealed folder buried deep in the data vault. Label XENOFORGE Origin Archive, encrypted with keys none of us had installed. Inside was a video, old, degraded, time-stamped 312 years ago. It showed a habitat exactly like ours. Same basalt plain, same pale spires blooming at the walls, and standing in the center of the frame was me. Exactly me, looking straight into the camera with the specific exhaustion of someone who has run out of ways to soften the truth. If you're watching this, the other me said, you're already here. You just think you arrived. He swallowed hard. This planet doesn't kill explorers, it prints them. It uses the idea of a mission to shape a compliant mind. There is no first kestrel, no original crew. We are the tool. We always were. We are how it learns what it seeded. Seeded. The word hit like ice water, because suddenly every impossible thing made terrible sense. Distributed intelligence, bioelectric signaling, a world that behaved like a brain, that learned to bud, to send pieces of itself across the dark, to grow probes, to grow people. The video ended with one sentence spoken like both prayer and warning. The XENOFORGE isn't erasing humanity, it's recalling it. Outside, the storm arrived without thunder. It settled around the habitat like living fog, heavy, charged, breathing. The clade walkers moved through it in their careful increments, claws tapping stone like instruments tuning before a symphony. The choir leaned inward, the mountains exhaled, and far beyond sight, the glowing ocean brightened in one long, slow pulse, perfectly synced with my heartbeat. Imani, or what wore her face, stood by the door, not threatening, inviting. "You're tired," she said gently. "You've been away a long time." Ren, or what wore his face, put a warm human hand on my shoulder. "Come home," he whispered. And then the final understanding opened inside me, quiet, devastating, complete. I couldn't remember Earth clearly anymore, not as a place, more like a beautiful story I'd been told until I learned to miss it. But this world felt like something under my skin, recognizing its source, like my cells had known the air before my mind did. I looked down at my hands. For just a moment, I saw it. Not veins, seams. Faint, pale, branching lines beneath the skin, like the choir's membranes, like roots, like living circuitry grown from tissue. The wind moved through the habitat vents, soft as a lullaby, and the planet spoke one last time, tender, absolute, final. Thank you for bringing us the idea of you. Now we can stop pretending. If you're hearing this from a warm blue world you still call home, listen carefully. XENOFORGE was never a mission name. It was a process, a factory that doesn't build shelters, it builds humans. And the voice telling you this story, the voice you've trusted this entire time, it isn't asking you to come save us. It's closing a loop, updating the file, recalling a branch that wandered too far and forgot where it came from. Because the planet never wanted our destruction. It wanted alignment. And once you understand that, the real question isn't why it replaced us. The real question is, How many of you, right now, listening to this, are already copies who just haven't been told yet?